After Kirk's assassination, many reports surfaced about companies firing their employees after making what they believe were inappropriate comments. And ABC suspended late-night host Jimmy Kimmel's show indefinitely after his remarks about Kirk's murder and President Trump's response to it attracted a lot of criticism, including from FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. Two broadcasting companies that own about 60 TV stations affiliated with ABC said they told the network they would not carry the show. While the FCC did not take any action against ABC or broadcasters in this case, some people believe Carr's comment is an example of a First Amendment issue and government interference. Others believe it is just a business decision by the network. We spoke about Kimmel's suspension, employees being fired, and Texas teachers being investigated with Dallas labor law attorney Rogge Dunn.
A lot of people don't know it, but as an employee, you don't have any First Amendment speech rights. The only exception to that is if you speak out about terms and working conditions at your employer. But First Amendment does not protect individual employees that are employed by private employers. And we also saw this when there were people who made comments in social media accounts that were anti-Black Lives Matters, and those companies fired some of those employees, and they had no free speech ability to sue over it.
Before you said this is of private employers, but when you work for a government, federal, state, or even local or school district, municipal, it's different. Is that right?
That's right. So the First Amendment prevents the government, and the government only, from abridging your free speech rights. So no matter what governmental entity, whether it's the Department of Justice, whether it's a local school district, you do have free speech protections.
The Texas Education Agency, as you and I are talking, tells me that they are investigating 281 complaints filed by the public against teachers' comments that they've seen post on social media that they thought was inappropriate in reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination. So what do you make of that?
Well, I make of it, it depends on what they said, okay? There's a couple of nuances for free speech protections for teachers, for example. Number one is if they make the statement in their official capacity. If they're teaching a class and they make the statement, it probably is not going to be protected speech. If they make it as a personal expression of their own personal views, it's going to be protected unless it is extremely vulgar or it is inciting violence or riots. It's the proverbial, you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. You couldn't yell fire in a classroom when there's no fire.
And we've seen this past week, the TEA Commissioner, Mike Morath, clarified his statement to say that there is a difference between something that is distasteful or in poor taste versus something that incites violence. But even then, what's the definition of inciting violence, right? Because there has to be an urgent public safety danger or threat, isn't that right?
Yes, that standard has been set by the U.S. Supreme Court, and it is a difficult standard. And I think that's why the commissioner walked back his original statement, because he knows that just because a teacher said something distasteful is not going to be grounds to discharge that teacher. And that teacher could go to court and challenge and most likely would win their case.
The other big news that we've seen happen this week is that ABC Entertainment indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel. And there have been a lot of people upset about this, saying First Amendment, that kind of thing. What's your take on that?
ABC Entertainment is a private employer, and they have the right to suspend or fire Jimmy Kimmel or any other employee for making statements that they think are not in the best interest of the company. And that not just statements, but let's say Jimmy Kimmel was seen out drunk on Rodeo Drive, and they say, you're not comporting yourself with how we want our evening host to behave in public, and we're firing you for that, or suspending you, or fining you, or whatever.
Even though the FCC commissioner who holds licenses, which holds a license, administers the licenses from the companies that own television stations, was very critical of Jimmy Kimmel's comments. And so people are pointing to that as saying that could be a threat right there, First Amendment, et cetera. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that would be tough because you've got some hurdles to jump, but I suppose you could fashion an argument. The FCC said this is not something we want said, and ABC somehow thought they had to do it or did it because the FCC made that statement. But I don't think ABC's ever going to admit that. ABC's going to say we made a business decision, and that's it. You know, the flip side, of course, is if ABC had said, no, we're not firing Jimmy Kimmel, and FCC had somehow said, we're taking him off the air, then Jimmy Kimmel and ABC would have First Amendment rights against the FCC, and I think they would have won that case.